More disappointment for a Utah family with a son stuck in a Venezuelan prison.
This was just devastating.
Why Josh Holt is not coming home anytime soon.
Cold front pushing through the state, what it means for winds, temperatures, and the chance of rain. Coming up.
Then $10 million of meth off our streets. How Utah Highway Patrol troopers brought in the big find.
The baby born in Walmart is here at the hospital, and we talked with Mom. Coming up.
And after years of construction, today we finally get a look inside the brand new Eccles Theater.
Live from Fox 13 Studios, this is Fox 13's Live at 5.
First at 5, a Riverton man remains trapped in a Venezuelan jail after a judge failed to show up to a court date that could have set him free. 24-year-old Josh Holt went to Venezuela nearly 4 months ago to marry a woman he met online.
But he ended up being arrested after the wedding by Venezuelan police on weapons charges. Fox 13's Jeff McAdams spoke to Josh Holt's mother today and joins us now from the newsroom. Jeff.
Bob, Hope, this family has been through so much. Over the last 6 months or so, their son Josh has been stuck in a 6-foot by 6-foot jail cell with no medical attention, just waiting for a fair shot to be heard by a judge. That is yet to have happened. A judge was supposed to appear a month ago, a no-show. Today, he was a no-show again. For months, Lori Holt has held it together, but today she couldn't help but fall apart.
This was just devastating.
For the past few weeks, Senator Orrin Hatch and Congresswoman Mia Love's teams have fought to free her son, Josh Holt, from a Venezuelan jail. 2 weeks ago, Secretary of State John Kerry met with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, seen here in the middle, and made his case to let him go. All things seem to point towards Holt's potential release today, or so Lori thought.
I think we all did. We all felt like that this was going to be his release and that he was going to be able to come home.
Josh Holt met a Venezuelan woman online about a year ago. After a 6-month relationship, they agreed to get married in Venezuela and then returned to the U.S. with his new bride and her 2 daughters. But his wife warned Holt it was dangerous to be an American in Venezuela, and he may have found out the hard way. Just a couple days after the wedding, police barged into the couple's home and arrested both. An online newspaper shows photos of what police allegedly recovered inside: 2 assault rifles and a grenade. Charges Holt's mom says simply aren't true.
Oh yeah, totally ridiculous.
Today, Lori got these photos of her son being transported to the courthouse. A judge was supposed to sentence Josh to prison or set him free.
I start crying as soon as I saw it. I have about 4 or 5 of them.
His waist size now a 30. It was 40 just 4 months ago.
Right now, Joshua's health is really bad. He's peeing blood.
Senator Hatch's office released this statement this afternoon. Senator Hatch is disappointed today's hearing was postponed and remains concerned about reports of Josh's mistreatment.
I just can't stop crying. I'm not being very strong today, but I'll pick it back up tomorrow and I'll just start fighting again tomorrow.
And about an hour ago, we also got a statement from Congresswoman Mia Love's office. We'll post that on fox13now.com if you want to check that out. We'll also have it for you tonight at 9. Something else, Lori says she's concerned about Josh's health. She's learned through his attorney that Josh has told his attorney that he's going to stop eating altogether until this judge finally shows up. Bob?
Well, this is a very difficult story. Jeff, any word on when that judge is going to show up? I mean, have they rescheduled another hearing?
Yeah, that's the big mystery. We thought it was today, a month ago. Who knows from here on out, but it's expensive while the family waits. Every month that this gets drug on is another $15,000 in attorney's fees, Bob.
All right, Jeff, thank you so much. There is developing news in Utah County where a woman accused of hitting and killing an 8-year-old boy while under the influence has reached a plea deal. Tabitha Magoon could face 0 to 5 years in prison. Magoon was driving in a Payson neighborhood in March when she hit and killed Caden Silito the day after his birthday. Caden's family says no punishment will ever replace him.
We have not received any true remorse from her. They have harassed us. They've walked by our home. They have walked where the accident took place with her children, almost in a mocking manner.
I would also like to say that I'm very sorry and I would never intentionally hurt somebody.
Prosecutors offered Magoon a deal for third-degree felony charges that included misdemeanor drug charges and a $2,500 fine. She's due back in court for sentencing December 7th.
We're learning more about a man accused of kidnapping an 11-year-old boy from South Ogden yesterday. The Murray School District confirms 37-year-old Weston Ray Kuby worked in an after-school program between the years 2001 and 2007. After that, he worked as a substitute teacher until 2012. Kuby is in jail facing charges of aggravated sexual abuse, kidnapping, and seducing a minor using the internet.
A Layton Subway restaurant employee will not be charged after the state crime lab says there is no evidence he poisoned a police officer's drink. 18-year-old Tanis Ukena was accused of lacing an officer's drink last August with THC, the active ingredient in marijuana. But the state crime lab says there is no evidence of that. Fox 13's Robert Boyd will have more on this story in a live report at 5:30.
I've been in this position for a number of years, and I've never seen anything to this size or magnitude.
This is the biggest meth bust the state has ever seen. Officers found 236 pounds of meth in a truck. Troopers pulled that truck driving northbound on I-15 over just south of Provo near milepost 267. Fox 13's Danica Lawrence is live at Utah Highway Patrol headquarters in Taylorsville with all the details. Now, Danica, how did they discover all that meth?
Well, they had some help. They had a tip that that truck was on its way up I-15, and they also had a canine help them sniff out and find those 236 pounds of meth. Piled high, pound by pound, wrapped up and uncut, with the UHP canine in front who alerted troopers of the narcotics, street valued at around $10 million worth.
That is a huge amount of narcotics, especially here in Utah. I mean, I never heard of a larger load of methamphetamine in the state of its history.
Captain Tyler Cotter with Utah's Department of Public Safety has been in law enforcement for 17 years. He says a tip from a source he refused to identify led troopers to find the F-150 truck yesterday afternoon just south of Provo. It had 3 suspects inside, pictured here. UHP says they are not cooperating with the investigation.
During the course of the traffic stop, the trooper observed them to be very nervous and had inconsistent stories.
Those 3 suspects, charges have been filed for them, including possession with intent to distribute. We'll keep you updated on this story. For now, we're live in Taylorsville. Danica Lawrence, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Feels a little more fall-like out there for most of us in northern Utah. Cold front pushing through. We have some winds out of the north that are helping to drop those temperatures a bit from where we were yesterday. It's not a huge cool down, but many locations are 5 or 10 degrees cooler than we were yesterday at this time. Still a really pretty day. We're talking partly cloudy skies here over the Salt Lake Valley. And as you look down in southern Utah around Moab, we had some darker clouds a little bit earlier. During the 4 o'clock newscast, we showed those. Those have largely dissipated, but we do still have partly cloudy skies in southeast Utah as well. All right, so there's a look at your 24-hour temperature change, and most of the bigger changes, again, Logan, Salt Lake, Provo, Vernal, so these more northern portions of the state are where we're seeing that cooler air. That cold front is working its way into southern Utah and will cool us down slightly in the southern part of the state as well. As you look at the winds across the state, now again in Logan, Ogden, Salt Lake, Provo, areas like that, Price, the winds are out of the west, but most of those locations have winds out of the north, but you go south of Provo and winds are still out of the south. And that's where your cold front is right now. That's where the boundary is. Satellite and radar does show some of these thunderstorms have fired up today. Showers and thunderstorms mainly at this point in the Uinta Basin. That's where we're seeing most of the activity. We had some moving through southeast Utah a little bit earlier, but those are dissipating, at this time. So we'll look for those to continue to taper off this evening. We'll look at temperatures to drop. We have some bigger cool downs in our future and bigger thunderstorms as well. That's all coming up.
All right, thank you, Brad. A liberal think tank has launched a petition drive to pressure Utah's Attorney General to reject a lawsuit for control of federal lands in Utah. The Alliance for a Better Utah says Sean Reyes should do what other Western Attorneys General have already recommended, and that is not to proceed. The legislature, which has funded $14 million for a lawsuit and even hired an outside counsel. So far, no draft of any litigation has been presented to Attorney General Reyes.
Starting today, clerks' offices around the state are sending out mail-in ballots. That means you could have yours by the end of the week. The Lieutenant Governor's office says they'll be all mailed out by October 18th. In order to be counted, you need to have your return ballot postmarked by November 7th. That's the day before the election. Now, because those ballots are already printed, the state elections office says it's too late to remove Donald Trump from the Republican ticket or even replace him with someone else. Several Republican lawmakers have called for him to step aside because of a video leak showing him say derogatory things about women. If Trump were to drop out, those votes would be disqualified.
Hillary Clinton has released a new ad targeting Mormon voters. Is she making a play for the LDS faithful or just trying to keep them from voting for Donald Trump? Fox 13's Ben Winslow has more.
The timing of this, of course, follows Donald Trump's crude sexual comments that are caught on tape, but a political scientist says this video may not work that well here in Utah.
We are Mormons for Hillary. Join your friends and family and vote.
On November 8th.
The ad called Mormons for Hillary features Republicans and Democrats who are members of the LDS Church and endorsing Clinton for president.
First by the families into which they were born.
Among them, former Republican state lawmaker Cheryl Allen.
The Republican candidate appeals to me in no way whatsoever.
Allen is a more moderate Republican. In 2010, she ran for lieutenant governor on the Democratic ticket.
Sunday night's debate. Who did you hear policy from? Who had proposals? Who had a vision? And in contrast, who was making the cutting remarks? And I think those are principles that people of faith stand for.
The ad is well timed, following Trump's comments about groping women and numerous Republican leaders in Utah abandoning him. But Republicans who are saying they're not voting Trump aren't going to Clinton. They're looking at the third-party candidates like Evan McMullin and Gary Johnson.
The Clintons have struggled in Utah since '92 when Bill Clinton took third in that election. So there's just a long history of distrust and honestly dislike.
Morgan Lyon-Cotty with the Hinckley Institute of Politics says Clinton is not polling well here. But it may be a case of last woman standing.
If she does keep that dialogue up of people looking to Utah, looking at this very Republican state where the Republican nominee should be polling at 60 or even 70%, and he hasn't even hit 40 yet, it keeps up that conversation and it helps her cause.
The Mormons for Hillary ad is online only. So far, neither of the major presidential candidates have purchased any television time here in Utah. At the state capitol, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
She gave birth on the floor of a Walmart store in Payson. Today, the new mom tells us about her experience.
Why one police department is no longer using body cameras. We'll explain why.
And they tried to blow up this bridge today, but it didn't go as planned. We'll show you what happened after the break.
Let's head outside for a look at traffic. This is I-15 southbound at 11th North. There is a crash. This is in Willard. There is a crash making for a slow commute here.
And there's an injury accident at the intersection of Bangerter Highway and 54th South. Police tell us that will be a place to avoid for at least the next hour. We're back in 60 seconds.
You're watching Fox 13 News. Let's connect.
The after effects of Hurricane Matthew are still a big concern. In Georgia, the number of people who died is up to 30 and about 900,000 customers remain without power. In Florida, the death toll is up to 8. In Lumberton, North Carolina, flooding is 4 or 5 feet deep in some places. South Carolina workers are clearing debris and power is still not restored to hundreds of thousands. But the problems here are dwarfed by Haiti. That's where hundreds of people died.
The explosives put on a good show, but they didn't quite do the job today. The Broadway Bridge in Little Rock, Arkansas was supposed to be demolished this morning, but as you can see, it's still standing. Crews aren't sure why the detonation didn't work. Now they're inspecting the bridge and looking for a new way to remove it.
House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi seems pretty confident about Hillary Clinton winning the election and the Democratic Party. In a conference call with House Democrats, Pelosi said if the election were held today, Democrats would regain control of the House. She did warn Democrats, keep up the support. because there's still 4 weeks until the election.
Well, with that 4 weeks until the election, there are major signs the Republican Party is in crisis mode.
Now, the GOP nominee is attacking top Republicans and promising more attacks on Hillary Clinton in the wake of his damaging 2005 open mic moment with Billy Bush. Fox's Rich Edson has more from Washington.
The shackles have been taken off. That's Donald Trump with a new Twitter warning, this time targeting those within his own party, including House Speaker Paul Ryan. The highest elected Republican says his only focus this election, maintaining the Republican majority in Congress. Trump says Ryan is, quote, weak and ineffective, adding in another tweet, quote, I can now fight for America the way I want to. And Trump is carrying his GOP criticism to campaign events.
You know, you have people that can't fix a budget, but then they start talking about their nominee, but they can't fix the budget. Isn't it really sad that we don't have stronger leadership on both sides?
Trump is also bringing that style to a TV ad on Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton doesn't have the fortitude, strength, or stamina to lead in our world.
We cannot risk putting a climate denier in the White House.
Clinton is teaming up in Florida with former Vice President and environmental activist Al Gore, who knows all too well the importance of winning the Sunshine State.
Your vote really, really, really counts a lot. You can consider me as an exhibit A of that truth.
And the Clinton campaign is engaging in its own Twitter fight. The target, WikiLeaks, and its latest Clinton email release. Campaign spokesman Brian Fallon is accusing WikiLeaks of, quote, colluding with Russia to help elect Donald Trump. In Washington, Rich Edson, Fox News.
Did you know the American Cancer Society reports Utah ranks 49th in the country when it comes to women getting mammograms? Now, we looked into why our numbers are so low here. A mammogram is a non-invasive X-ray that can detect cancer, and the earlier cancer is caught, the better. So, why aren't Utah women getting them? Utah breast cancer surgeon Dr. Ann Kieran says many women are afraid of what the X-ray will find. Others believe if they don't have a family history, they won't get cancer. Finally, they think it's expensive or just inconvenient. Now, Dr. Kieran adds many patients procrastinate and don't see a doctor until they have a life-threatening stage 2 or stage 3 cancer.
The UCCP, Utah Cancer Control Program, which we work with, for uninsured women, if they have something, if you get a diagnosis, we can get you on to treatment and we can get you help with insurance.
Now, most insurance plans cover the cost of a mammogram, and the Utah Department of Health offers free or even low-cost screening days. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Come, please join me and Ben Winslow, along with other Fox 13 staffers, this Saturday morning at Liberty Park for the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk. We look forward to seeing you.
We're going to have to bundle up a little bit on Saturday morning because it will have just finished raining, and
so bring your cutest pink jacket, sweatshirt.
That is the plan right now.
Or scarf.
It will have just finished raining.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. We do have a storm that rolls through Friday night, but it does look to wrap up before the event. But it will be cold. I mean, temperatures, we'll see a high in the mid-60s. Temperatures at this, at 8:30 for registration, they'll be in the 50s. So definitely plan to dress warm. Yeah, throw on an extra pink feather boa. I see a lot of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
you look good in yours.
I know. Well, yeah, I see a lot of them. All right, let's look at what we have. 69 degrees right now in Salt Lake. Winds out of the north at 9 miles an hour. Really pleasant day. Temperatures running a bit cooler than we were yesterday at this time. That was expected with the cold front that pushed through. We actually have a ridge of high pressure off to our west. This front this trough is just grazing northern Utah, and most of this cool air will actually drop to our east on the other side of the Continental Divide. But with this setup, that allows this cooler air to move into the state. So that's where our cold front is pushing through. And as it reaches southern Utah, yeah, it's going to drop temperatures by a few degrees. Really, we've already seen a few degrees cooler in southern Utah today, but that's because of the cloud cover and the showers that we've seen in this part of the state. Right now, the strongest storms are actually here more towards the Uinta Basin, right along the Colorado border. But the bottom line, this cooler air is going to be moving through. We'll see cooler temperatures tonight and cooler temperatures tomorrow. We'll start warming up again, but then stronger cold fronts are coming our way. Now tomorrow, this ridge starts building in, so we're going to have plenty of sunshine tomorrow. But again, because of the cooler temperatures tonight and early tomorrow morning, it's just going to take longer to warm up, and so again, we'll see cooler temps tomorrow. So we're 69 right now in Salt Lake, mid-60s in Provo. We're still in the 70s in Delta, Milford, Cedar City, still in the 80s in St. George. But you look more towards the northern tier of the state, and everybody's in the 60s right now. So again, that cooler air moving in from the north. 30s tonight, freezing in Evanston, low 40s, mid 40s. So, you know, a handful of degrees. We're talking 7 to 10 degrees cooler than we were last night for many of us in northern Utah. Similar story here for parts of central Utah. And we'll still hold on to a few showers here in the extreme eastern part of the state. Now you look at the hour-by-hour forecast, not a whole lot of change here in northern Utah. We're just going to see decreasing clouds heading into the evening hours. For southern Utah, especially the southeast, we're going to hold on to more clouds longer, but eventually those are going to clear out as well. And again, an isolated shower or two as we head into the evening hours in southern and eastern Utah. 68 tomorrow in Salt Lake, so not a cold day, about average for this time of year, but cooler than we've been. 70 in Provo, low 70s in Richfield, 84 in St. George, 75 around Moab. I mean, overall, it's going to be a stunner of a day tomorrow. Mid 80s on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in southern Utah, cooler Saturday. And then cooler again as we get into early next week. Right now, it still doesn't look like a significant threat of precipitation in southern Utah. Different story for northern Utah. Upper 60s tomorrow, back to the mid 70s on Thursday. Fairly warm on Friday, but we'll have some windy conditions in front of another cold front. And we'll see those thunderstorms start popping by Friday afternoon into Friday night, but right now it looks like those showers are going to be ending very early on Saturday morning. I'm talking like 1 to 3 a.m. Saturday morning. No problem. Yeah, no problem, unless you're still out at that point, but that's a whole different story.
Or getting
so by
an early
8,
start.
you know, 8 or 9, yeah. By the time we do the walk, you're in good shape. Then we have another cold front that moves in on Monday. That one's even colder and even stronger, and we're going to see more mountain snow with that storm system. And you can see a high of only 62 on Monday. So pretty big changes. I mean, a couple storms that are going to be rolling through the weekend and early next week. Going to drop temperatures and drop some snow on the mountains.
So wear your pink PJs or whatever you've got that's pink, and we'll see you there.
And your feather boa.
And your
There's
feather boa.
lots of pink feather boas.
There are a lot. They're fun. It's a wonderful time. Please come.
It's a good time.
Yep, we're all going to be there. It is considered a state-of-the-art entertainment center. We'll take you inside the new Eccles Theater in downtown Salt Lake City.
They started searching for Pokemon and found something else in the process, the unintended success of the game. Coming up.
It was a disappointing start to the third quarter earnings season. Battered stocks today and dampened hopes for a rebound in corporate performance. The Dow lost 200 points to close at 18,129. The Nasdaq dropped 82. The S&P fell 27. Amazon is reportedly trying to make it easier for people to use its fresh grocery service. The Wall Street Journal reports the company plans to open several convenience stores and offer curbside pickup for fresh orders. Customers can order with their smartphone or with touchscreens at the building. Sources say it could take more than a year for Amazon to find locations and open the shops.
In the quest to catch 'em all, Americans are apparently shedding a few pounds as well. A newly released study finds some of the most frequent Pokemon Go users took 26% more steps than before using the app. And the biggest change happened in people who started out as relatively inactive. So researchers say players have taken a combined 144 billion steps. That equals 143 round trips to the moon.
Well, they have the body cameras, but police officers in Pleasant Grove aren't using them. Why city leaders decided to sideline the devices. Coming up.
Remember the Subway employee in Layton accused of poisoning a police officer's drink? Well, today that employee was vindicated. Coming up next, now hear what he's saying about police.
It will bring some of the biggest Broadway shows right to you in Salt Lake City. Today, here's a look at the new Eccles Theater main stage. More coming up.
Live from Fox 13 Studios, this is Live at 5:30.
A Layton Subway restaurant employee arrested for allegedly poisoning a police officer's drink will not be charged. The Layton Police Department says the state crime lab was unable to confirm that anything poisonous was put in the drink.
Fox 13's Robert Boyd is at that Subway restaurant on Highway 193 in Layton where the alleged incident took place. Robert, what happened?
Well, the employee at the center of all this, Bob and Hope, is 18-year-old Tanis Ukana. Today, his family held a press conference, and they say this teen's reputation has been severely damaged because of these allegations. In fact, he's even received death threats.
It's been hard because it's scary to go out in public when you're receiving death threats and stuff online.
Tanis Ukana says his life has been put on hold since August 8th. That's the day a Layton police officer says he became seriously ill after purchasing a lemonade at the Subway on Highway 193. The officer said he noticed a chemical taste in the drink. Detectives determined there were methamphetamine and THC in the cup. That led to the arrest of Ukana, who poured and served the drink. However, when the cup was sent to the state crime lab, nothing poisonous was found. Layton PD released this statement. The department received word from the state lab that at the conclusion of their testing, they are unable to confirm the contaminants were in the officer's drink. Due to the lab results, the department will not seek charges against Tanis. Tanis says the worst part is that the Layton Police Department hasn't even apologized.
It's not so much anger, but more disappointment in how the situation was handled. And you know, I support the law enforcement. I am pro-police, but it has been disappointing to see how the investigation was handled and to have that, you know, this happen.
Now, Tanis's family and their attorney are still deciding whether or not to file a lawsuit against the Layton Police Department. And coming up tonight at 9 o'clock, Tanis is going to tell us how Subway handled this whole situation and why he can't wait to go back to work. Live in Layton, Robert Boyd, Fox 13 News, Utah.
New at 5, Utah Republicans are accusing legislative Democrats of fundraising for candidates from their Capitol Hill offices. That's a violation of legislative ethics rules. The state GOP says these emails show Democrats using a Capitol Hill address. Campaign disclosure reports show nearly $90,000 was raised. Democratic spokeswoman says the allegations are being investigated.
This just into the Fox 13 newsroom. We're getting viewer pictures from a fire in Highland. Crews say the owner of this van was using a generator in the back of it to clean some equipment. He had both gasoline and propane containers in the van when one of the containers caught fire and exploded. The man is currently being treated for burns to his legs. He is in fair condition.
Thomas Edward Egley pleaded guilty today in a Price courtroom for a murder he committed 46 years ago. Loretta Jones, who was 23 at the time, was raped and murdered in her Price home in July of 1970. Her daughter was in the home. Egley was questioned but released. The judge cited a lack of evidence. He confessed recently to a Carbon County Sheriff's deputy that he did in fact rape and murdered Jones and destroyed evidence that would have linked him to the crime. Now, Jones's daughter witnessed the crime. She's overjoyed justice was finally done.
They're meant to improve oversight of police officers, but the Pleasant Grove Police Department is no longer using body cameras. Fox 13's Tamara Vaifanua reports on the struggle to pay for storage costs.
2 years ago, the Pleasant Grove Police Department was one of the first agencies in the state to outfit their police officers with body cameras. They soon learned that transparency comes with a high price.
We want to run cameras. We're all for it. This was a hard decision.
Pleasant Grove Police Chief Michael Smith says his department embraced the use of body cameras in 2014. But with the passage of House Bill 300 earlier this year, the technology posed some challenges. Officers are now required to use body cams on every encounter with law enforcement, putting a strain on their data storage capabilities.
Any interaction, no matter how small or how big, our officers show up. If their backup shows up, you're doubling your storage. So it crashed our server.
In August, Chief Smith decided to stop using body cams. He estimates the cost to replace the server for the next year would be around $10,000 to $15,000. Beyond that, the price could go as high as $75,000 a year for a reliable data storage program.
It's not as easy as just, getting a drop box and dumping all of our stuff in there.
Other hurdles Chief Smith encountered with body cams is finding software that can redact private information, essentially evidence which could be used in court, and manpower to keep up with the collection of data.
What we were averaging, an officer per shift was spending an hour of his shift in the office downloading video off his body cam.
Criticism is pouring in from the public questioning the department's priorities. Chief Smith says other agencies across the country are also facing the same unintended consequences.
We were one of the first to start, which again, now we're being one of the first to be criticized for not being transparent. You're going, no, that's not the issue.
Chief Smith says they are looking at all avenues right now. In fact, several local companies have come forward and offered to develop a storage program that could possibly help. In Pleasant Grove, Tamara Vaifanua, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Pretty nice conditions outside right now. We've had, of course, windy conditions yesterday, breezy to windy conditions, and again today, although those winds shifted for many of us in northern Utah with a cold front passing through and now out of the north, and that helped drop our temperatures. So yesterday, right about now, temperatures were close to 80 degrees. Now we're close to 70 degrees. But outside of that, it looks basically the same here along the Wasatch Front. There's a look at that temperature change. So Logan, Ogden, Salt Lake, and Provo seeing a pretty big cool down also around Vernal. And you do see in places in southern Utah where we're a few degrees cooler than we were yesterday at this time, but that's more due to clouds and even a few showers that we've had in that part of the state. There's a look at some of the winds outside, and the winds in northern Utah are generally out of the north or northwest or west. And then you get south of Provo, and then you see the winds are generally out of the south or southwest. And that just shows you right there between Provo and Delta, for example, that's where the cold front is. So you have the winds out of the south, south of the front, and the winds out of the north, north of the front. There's a look at some of the storms that have developed with this cold front today. A lot of the storms right now in the Uinta Basin, but also redeveloping around central Utah, just south of Richfield. We've had showers that have rolled through southeast Utah as well. And again, few scattered showers will continue heading into the evening hours. So we'll look at what to expect out of temperatures, because that's the main change for most of us around the state. And we do have bigger, stronger storms and colder cold fronts later on in the 7-day as well. That's all coming up.
All right, thank you, Brett. October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. To raise awareness of how much of a problem domestic violence is in Utah, the city of Sandy staged this ceremony for victims today. A field of 338 pinwheels, each one representing a child victim of domestic abuse in Utah last year, and a balloon was released for each of the 291 adult victims.
They feel like they're stuck, they're trapped, really, and I definitely felt like that for a long time, but it's hard to get out and speak up for yourself.
Sandy also gave awards to the top public service announcements based on the theme, "One is Too Many." This PSA took the top spot.
With Mia Love leading in the polls, Doug Owen is trying hard to convince Utahns he deserves your vote. Owens is trying to unseat Love in Utah's 4th congressional district. Now, they faced off in a debate last night, taking on issues like minimum wage, college tuition, and climate change. Among the biggest difference between the two is who they intend to support for president.
I've stood very firm and have not endorsed Donald Trump, and I certainly have not endorsed Hillary Clinton. I have not closed the door on the other candidates.
Now, I have said I am voting for my party's nominee.
But Owens would not go so far as to endorse Hillary Clinton's campaign, saying he has many disagreements with her policies. Now, this is the only scheduled debate between Love and Owens on Wednesday. U.S. Senator Mike Lee will face his Democratic challenger, Misty Snow, at Brigham Young University. Well, it's bringing the best of Broadway to Salt Lake City and putting downtown at the forefront of the theater world. It's going to be amazing.
Are you going to be down there? Are you opening up?
I'm a season ticket holder.
MAME. You could do MAME down there.
Well, they're not doing MAME.
For the first time this afternoon, we got a look inside the George S. and Dolores Dore Eccles Theater's Performance Hall. Fox 13's Kirsten Nunez is down there right now. Kirsten, what makes this building so special?
Well, Bob, this building actually has the qualities that you'd want in a husband or wife. It's beautiful inside and out. Now, construction has been going on here for about 3 years, and today we finally got a look inside.
It is the most modern, most beautiful, and state-of-the-art theater in the country right now.
But don't take her word for it. Here's a look at what makes this theater so spectacular. First and most magnificent, the main hall. Now the sky is the limit, looking up to a sea of sparkling lights. Thousands of bulbs shining down on 3 balconies, making for a grand total of 2,500 seats surrounding the stage. Now what you can't see are the amazing acoustics that make the Delta Performance Hall so state-of-the-art. Soon this large red curtain will draw back to reveal big-name concerts and Broadway shows like Hamilton. Now going outside the main hall, a flood of natural light shining through to an open public space, featuring works by local artists from the glass panels to the floor. All this and more putting Utah on the map in the theater world.
This will be a destination. This will be one of the places where when someone's in from out of town and they go, where should we go? They'll say Main and Regent District. They'll say go by the Eccles Theater. So this will be a real attraction.
Now the grand opening here is next week, and shops here along Main Street have been watching this construction for almost 3 years, and they're excited to see inside, but they're also excited to see how it will impact their business. Now we'll hear from some local owners coming up tonight at 9, and also take a look more inside the theater. For now, we're live in Salt Lake City. Kirsten Nunez, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Kirsten, thank you so much, and Hope's choreography is almost set for opening night. So just so everybody knows. Thanks so much, Kirsten.
Okay, that's not true, Bob. A Utah mom has quite the story to tell after giving birth at a Walmart store. Hear about her experience after the break.
And coming up in sports, Kalani Sitake has brought a new attitude to the BYU football team, and the Cougars are loving it. And what do you think the Utes are thinking about Oregon State after watching them beat the only team that they lost to?
This is Fox 13 News.
The mayor of Park City signed a pledge committing to transition the city to 100% renewable electricity by 2032. After skiing the Wasatch Mountains for nearly 50 years, Park City Mayor Jack Thomas says he has seen the effects of climate change on the snow, which is Park City's lifeblood. This morning, before a cross-section of outdoor enthusiasts, environmentalists, and families, Thomas promised his city would be running on renewable energy in less than 20 years. But the first big step is set to happen in 6 years.
So we're going to make sure that the buildings that we build are equipped with photovoltaic panels and that are super insulated and much more efficient. So if we can begin to do that, and we can create the context and place for a local solar farm, and we can easily make that switch by 2022.
Our municipal operations will be carbon net zero and also powered by 100% renewable electricity. And then we'll have that community-wide by 2032.
Now the mayor says the local community is driving the initiative.
Well, she was on her way to the hospital, but didn't quite make it in time.
No, instead, a Utah mom ended up giving birth in a Walmart checkout line. Yesterday, we heard from store employees and the medics who helped.
Today, Fox 13's Aubrey McKay spoke with the mother.
Yeah, now there was a language barrier here. Yesterday, we understood that the mother was with her family and her husband. Turns out that wasn't true. She was shopping all by herself. So, how are you feeling?
¿Cómo se siente?
Muy bien. Cecilia Rivas talked to us from her hospital bedside with the help of a translator. Because not many people in Walmart spoke Spanish, some of the details were unclear until now.
Porque me sentía bien. I was really feeling well. I didn't think I was going to have the baby.
It all started when Cecilia, a wife and mother of 2, woke up early Sunday morning with labor pains. She figured she would be going to the hospital that day, but that she had some time, so she left her husband with the kids at home while she went to pick up some last-minute items.
So while I was doing that, I started getting worse, and then I went to pay, and I got even worse, and all of a sudden I broke water, and I felt the head of the baby right then and there.
Few people around spoke Spanish, but they could tell what was happening. They grabbed towels, held up sheets, and by some miracle, the customer behind her not only spoke Spanish, but was a former EMT.
Incluso la señora que estaba detrás.
And the lady that was right behind me, the one that spoke Spanish, was like an angel to me because she was the one that helped me bring the baby out.
Jeanette Barney is the director of labor and delivery at Mountain View Hospital. She says it's lucky that the delivery happened like it did. She says patients are advised to get to the hospital as soon as they have close contractions.
It's always better to be safe than sorry, but it doesn't always happen that way.
Cecilia and her son Matias are doing well, but because the baby wasn't born in a sterile environment, doctors are keeping a close eye on them both.
We're keeping the baby on antibiotics right now as a precautionary measure.
As for Cecilia, she's just glad she was in Walmart surrounded by such helpful people, and her family is relieved everyone is okay.
Tan rápido para mí que...
It was so quick and so fast, I couldn't even believe it. I still can't believe it.
Now, because this baby was born in Walmart and not in a hospital, they're keeping mom and baby here just a little extra longer to make sure everything's okay before they go home. Reporting in Payson, Aubrey McKay, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Wow, what a happy story. Everything turned out okay.
Yeah, thankfully.
And now they're going to have a new holiday promotion where you can have a baby at Walmart and they'll give you a big screen TV. No, just kidding.
Now watch.
Let's be clear, he just made that up.
There's going to be a run on Walmart by pregnant women.
They're going to be like, hey, yeah, let's go. I can feel some contractions. Let's go.
Big flat screen?
That's a doorbuster right there,
Yeah,
let me tell you.
there you go.
No kidding. A water buster.
Put a boom.
Okay, let's take a look at southern Utah, some of the fall colors we see in the southern part of the state. I mean, we've had a lot of them in northern Utah, a lot of these pictures, but what a great shot from Gary Walker. This is near Beaver, the Mineral Mountains down just in southwest Utah. And again, just really pretty colors that we're seeing all throughout the state right now with our fall colors. We have now if you look right here, notice these clouds look like they're just bumping into a wall. That's actually a ridge of high pressure, and then we have a trough that is just pushing towards northern Utah today, and actually the cooler air associated with this is mostly moving to our east. But what's happening with this is it's allowed this cooler air to work its way into the state, so we have a cold front that's moving through the state. And north of that cold front, we've had temperatures drop by a handful of degrees. South of that cold front, temperatures are pretty much where they were yesterday. And some spots are a little bit cooler, but that's because of the thunderstorms, or the showers and thunderstorms that have developed along that front. Mostly in extreme eastern Utah. We do have some more that are developing even as we speak, though, near more right in central Utah, right around Richfield, right around I-70 in Richfield. We're seeing some of those storms develop. Mostly what we're getting, dark clouds, some gusty winds, some precipitation, but again, it's mostly just the clouds and the winds that we're seeing from these storms. Temps right now, 60s along the Wasatch Front. So again, the cold fronts push through and cooled us down. 60s in northeastern Utah as well. And then a lot of 70s throughout southern Utah where the cold front, we're still waiting for the front to push into this part of the state, mid-80s in St. George. So the big change will come later on tonight and then during the day tomorrow. It's going to be cooler tonight by, again, a handful of degrees, almost 10 degrees cooler than we were last night with clearing skies in northern Utah. Low 40s in Provo, mid 30s in Park City, low 30s in Logan and Evanston, 43 in Price, low 40s in Richfield, 55 in St. George. And again, just holding on to a few isolated showers in eastern Utah overnight. A chilly start to the day tomorrow. Lots of clear skies once again and near 50 degrees to start. You know, it'll be a beautiful day. Plenty of sunshine. That high pressure that's just to our west builds in, so we'll have plenty of sunshine. But even with more sunshine, it'll actually be a couple degrees cooler than we were today. So 68 in Salt Lake, low 60s in Park City, low 60s in Logan and Evanston as well. Vernal, same story. A little bit warmer in Price. And then we have some low 70s throughout southern Utah. Again, today we were mostly in the mid and upper 70s, so slightly cooler. And then mid 80s in St. George. 7-day forecast. We stay in the mid 80s. We cool it down for the weekend. We cool it down early next week. There's a couple cold fronts working through, but right now it looks like the precipitation is going to stay in northern Utah. That could change for southern Utah, especially this second cold front that moves through. So for northern Utah, mostly clear tomorrow and we start warming it up. Mid 70s on Thursday. By Friday, we pick up some wind. We have a cold front move through. We kick off some thunderstorms by Friday afternoon and Friday night. Good chance of rain overnight in northern Utah. But it looks like it wraps up in time for the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer walk by 8:30 in the morning. So, you know, showers die out overnight. Partly cloudy and cooler on Saturday. Another cold front moves through on Monday and again drops our temperatures pretty significantly going into early next week.
The #1 ranked Utah football team is a 9-point favorite to beat Oregon State this week on the road. But the Beavers opened the Utes' eyes with an impressive win last week against Cal, the only team to beat Utah this season. Oregon State quarterback Darrell Garretson, who used to play at Utah State, scored the game-winning touchdown for the Beavers in overtime to end Oregon State's 12-game Pac-12 losing streak. Utes usually don't look past an opponent, but they said after Oregon State's win over Cal, they're not going to do it this week.
Can't overlook anybody in the Pac-12. You know, you never know what could happen, especially after the crazy weekend that just passed. So we're going to go into this game, give them tons of respect, and make sure we're ready to play.
I think it's good for us to see them pull out a game like that. There really is no bottom-tier teams. Anyone could beat anyone on any given day.
You know, when they beat a good team like Cal, it's something that you have to pay attention to. You know, it goes to show that we really got to be ready for this one. It's not one that we can ever go lightly into. No Pac-12 game is, but we got to be prepared.
BYU will host Mississippi State on Friday night. Cougars are coming off a huge win. Beating Michigan State on the road was BYU's best game of the season, and they celebrated like it after the game. We saw this last night. Head coach Kalani Sitake dancing in the middle circle in the locker room. His players loved it and the attitude he's brought to the program.
Coach Sitake has come in here and brought and invited an atmosphere of, you know, look, this is football and we're going to do everything we can to win, but it's football and it's a lot of fun to be a part of a team, and these are moments you're going to remember for the rest of your life. And so he's really brought that atmosphere in, and we've had a lot of fun this season. But winning a game certainly makes football a lot more fun, and you know, we had a big win, and so we wanted to celebrate it. And Coach was great about, you know, turning on some music and getting in the middle of the circle and dancing and stuff. And, you know, little things like that are moments that we'll remember and, you know, make us love the guy even more than we already do.
The Jazz won their first preseason game without Gordon Hayward, who's out 6 weeks with a broken finger. The Jazz beat the Clippers last night 96-94 in LA. That's Joe Ballenboy with the rebound and the throwback. He looked impressive right there. Derek Favors and Alec Burks were also out, but the Jazz still pulled it out. Nice defensive stop here by Dante Exum at the end of the game. The Jazz play their first preseason game at home tomorrow night. Boy, so we'll see him in action.
Feeling good about the Jazz, feeling good about the Cougars, feeling good about Utah, too, even though they're short in the running back
Hopefully they might get a couple guys back this week, maybe one, but they'll get through it, I think.
Yeah, they will. They will.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much, Jeff.
We'll be right back. Fox 13 is teaming up with Lagoon to give you some free tickets. All you need to do is open your Fox 13 app, click on Frightmares, and then look for the daily keyword.
Scroll down. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead, Bob.
Okay, scroll down and enter once a day. The contest ends tomorrow, October 12th. If you don't have the Fox 13 app yet, boy, are you not cool. All you got to do is download it anytime between now and then to enter.
Sorry, I was just so excited.
I know,
Couldn't
me
stop
too.
talking. We hope to see you tonight at 9.
Bye-bye.